maybe we aren't actually in a period of potential cancellation. Obviously, I've been very worried about Hell Warden Haguma within the last couple chapters because we're at a spot where it's been looking a little dangerous for Higuma because he's a little bit damaged. He's a little bit more of a rough state. Like he lost one of his arms and he lost one of his legs against one of the guys he's fighting, and the rankings haven't been too good with it. I've discussed it a couple times already. Like it's different now because it's all digital, so Shonen Jump doesn't have to worry about potential space waste. It'll probably wait until sales actually determine whether or not it continues and not uh, rankings in the magazine. But we got a really nice flashback chapter this week. We had a cool part with Higuma and his dad as they're at the store and he wants to get a game, but it's a lot more than what his dad was willing to pay. But here comes Higuma's aunt, Haruma, who she's just like, either stop him from screaming in the store or I'll just pay for it. And poor little guy, he like went over to his aunt, and his aunt doesn't like him. It looks like she's just like, man, I don't like kids. Get the hell off me. It's just like this poor dude. He's got a shitty future, being a Hell Warden. Not only is his dad kind of, it seems a little hard on him, but his aunt doesn't seem very nice to him either. Poor kid. And then he's actually like, listen, you need to quit trying to spoil my kid, because if he gets shitty, then I'm going to have to deal with it. But then he tries to compromise with him, but he's like, all right, I will buy you the game, but then you have to come with me the next time I go do Hellward stuff. And Higuchi just pulls away, and he's like, nope, I don't want it anymore. I don't need this game. I'm out. And then his dad is like hell-bent on buying him in the game, so he has to come with him. And it's just pretty goofy. I like that silly interaction between him and his dad. And it was pretty nice to see what it was like kind of growing up. I mean, this chapter I think I'm going to be able to sum up pretty quickly, because a lot of it was about how Higuma wasn't really fit to be a Hell Warden because he doesn't like violence. He doesn't kind of believe in punishment for people's like wrongdoings and stuff. He was all about trying to figure out how he can forgive people, which is nice, but I don't think he's obviously very young. He doesn't realize, when people in life, like the idea behind hell, before like your soul can get purified, is you have to get punished for all the bad stuff you did. So all these guys who are going through hell are because they committed atrocities when they were alive. And you actually get a really cool moment of a backstory here, where one of the members of Higuma's family ended up bringing out one of the characters from hell, the guy that I think was Engetsu mentioned, the old man who's they said 400 years ago he got brought out, and he just in that time let out tons of different different fugitive spirits from hell, and they are the ones that they're still tracking down and trying to get a hold of, including obviously the one from the last chapter, the dude who's like full of molten copper, and Engetsu, and he'll use all these other guys, and how a lot of them, the reason that they're kind of burned with this seems to be because they're the ones that were part of causing this whole issue, and it just kind of, obviously falling down the line of what's his family name, Kagarite, or however that's said, and how they're trying to just figure out how to go about this. He actually had a really good part also just explaining Enma, because they said that like Enma isn't really the character we saw. That's like a physical representation of it, because like Enma is actually like kind of like an automatic like filtration system that like decides when people die where their souls go. And Enma is just like the human form is really just this kind of position of representing it, so humans can kind of understand. And then what was I can't remember the other dude, the horn guy that hangs out with them, but he actually apparently had a nice relationship with Higuma. What was his name? Abo. And like no matter what, you couldn't really ever shake him up. He just seems like very friendly with the guy. But yeah, it's back and forth between Enma and Higuma, who is just like trying to say like, how couldn't we just like have the good guys and the bad guys put their differences aside and become friends? And I can get where he's coming from, but it's like these guys they're suffering because they did bad stuff, and it's not like It's not like people can just say, "Hey, you killed my family, but you know, let me forgive you." It's like, no, you need to know that people can't do that. So you know, no one does that in the future. You know, there's punishments for their actions when they do bad stuff like that. And it's Higuma's coming from a good place, but it's not. It's definitely not a good. His solution isn't really a good solution. It's like you can forgive them eventually, but you can't just say, "Hey, you did bad stuff, but let me forgive you." There's no consequences for your actions, which is really how I see it. I can get how someone would kind of just see forgiveness above all else, but it's like I don't agree with that at all. But it's something that his character has, and that's kind of the obvious the thing clashing with his job as the Hell Warden. But I think even more so interesting at the end is you see Engetsu, you know, the fiery fugitive spirit who has like these long, like kind of elf-like burnt ears, and he's like talking. I guess he's trying to form a contract or a deal with um, Haruma, the Higuma's aunt, where it's just like a shit. This is obviously where some bad stuff happens, and he even noted in this chapter about how Higuma's almost 10, and obviously that is that's going to be knowledge of the copper dude coming after them. And here it looks like to be what screws over his family, at least at the start, or something foreshadowed in the future. Because I'm wondering how this is gonna, if this relates at all to the copper dude, or if this is just something that happened on the side that we'll end up seeing, or maybe his aunt isn't actually dead at all. But fun. I don't even want to say fun chapter. Interesting chapter with some sad portions. You get a lot of in depth on Higuma's character, but at the same time, it's like even though I don't agree with him, you can see how his mindset really hurts, like the fact he has to do the Hell Warden stuff, which is interesting for his character. Really kind of lays out a pretty interesting aspects because I can't think of any off the top of my head where it's like you have the main character doing, you know, whatever their job is the main character, but they hate it and they don't want to do it, but they have to suffer through it because it's important that they do it. So definitely looking forward to the future of this series. Again, I really hope it doesn't get canceled. I hope it ends up picking up and it keeps going. But other than that, drop a comment below on what you think about this. Like, how do you think this series is? Like, it definitely in the last couple chapters, I think it's been getting really interesting. And I think the stuff with right now with Engetsu and information on how the fugitive spirits all kind of like had their whole break out of hell and this copper dude are pretty interesting. Definitely, I definitely am trying to get some more people on it. I've only got a couple people to pick it up, but hopefully it can, like I said, hopefully it picks up more steam. But other than that, really appreciate if you thumbs up the video, befriend the like button and the subscribe button, and check out my other videos. But other than that, I appreciate everyone who's already subscribed, and I thank you all for listening. Bye.